how's it going, everybody? My name is Victor, and I am your host of the V.D.R podcast. Today's episode 26, is a very special episode. We are interviewing Martin Duarte, a retired Master Gunnery Marine, who is one of the directors of a nonprofit organization called the Wounded Warriors Family Support Organization. And as you know, here in the V.D.R podcast, our mission is to bring a biblical worldview to things happening in real time in this day and age. But we are also, both David and I, we are also veterans. We both served. David served in the Marine Corps. I served in the Army. And so anytime we get a chance to speak and conversate and support our fellow brethren who served and use these nonprofit organizations to serve other people, we jump on it to do it immediately. And so where you can catch our podcast is you can find us on a YouTube channel called the V.D.R podcast. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Tell us where you're listening from. We really enjoy the interaction. Whether you agree or disagree with us, we really respect and enjoy as we give feedback back and forth. Number 2, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Wherever you listen to your podcast, you're going to find us there. I promise you that. And here is our faith statement, our kingdom statement. The reason why the V.D.R podcast exists is because this ministry is desires to partner with other organizations and other people to push back against the darkness in this world by the kingdom of darkness, one step at a time, bringing the good news of Jesus Christ through our platform and also addressing what's happening today that just cannot be addressed on the pulpit, which may be an inappropriate place to do that at. So we use this platform to do these things, all for the glory of God and all to push the kingdom of God and to bring the good news to the lost. We enjoy speaking with all types of people, whether you're a Christian or not. We love the interaction. We're big on apologetics, and what that is having a wise and logical conversation using what God has given us, our mind, to have a good conversation about issues that are social, economic, maybe things from culture. We love all these things, but we always bring it back to what the Bible says, because the Bible for us and for all of the universe, for all of creation, is the only source of truth. So again, I can't wait to interview Mr. Martin Duarte. Check this out. We're going to do this interview on a virtual Google Meets. And so I'll see you guys there. God bless you guys. Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Vic with the V.D.R podcast. And now we are here with our guest, Martin Duarte, with the Wounded Warriors Family Support nonprofit organization. How you doing, Martin?
Outstanding, Victor. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate your time and allowing me to talk about what we do for our combat veterans.
Man, awesome, dude. Awesome. And our audience know both myself and my co-host, we both served. My brother was a fellow Marine as yourself. He served during Afghanistan time, I think between 2010 and 12. He was overseas. That was his military story. And I was in the active duty Army for 15 years, active duty. I was a chief warrant officer. So, but yeah, Martin, tell us a little bit about your military journey, and then how did you transition to work in the Wounded Warrior Support Organization?
Well, most definitely. I was on my second deployment to Iraq in 2008, and I got extended there due to the fact that we were retrograding out of Iraq. So I was only supposed to be in there for 6 months. And on the second rotation, that's where I met Colonel John Folsom. Colonel John Folsom is the founder of Wounded Warriors Family Support. And, I was under a very unique circumstances. As you all know, when we put a manning document, a lot of things change. The manning document is the number of personnel you take in theater to serve. And unfortunately, at the last minute, I had one of the major that was supposed to be the adjutant. He ended up retiring, and the master gunny that was going with us, he ended up retiring also because he had medical issues. So we didn't have enough time to go out there. So I got triple-headed going out there. So for the first 6 months, man, I was the one that did all the adjutant stuff. did all the SIPR stuff and did all the briefings every week. And on the second rotation, that's when I met Colonel John Folsom. And for some reason, he took a liking to me. And every Friday that we did our briefs, he would come up to me and say, when you get out, I'm going to hire you. You know, you always hear that from people, you know, throughout the military. Never thought anything of it. On my second tour to Afghanistan in 2014, you know, we were doing we were pulling out of Afghanistan, and we got a request from Wounded Warriors Family Support, unbeknown to me, that was his organization, to fly about 200 flags for him as we were drawn out of Afghanistan. So we did. In 2015, when I got back from Afghanistan, he came by one map and picked up the flags, and that's when we kind of met up again. And I mean, it had been almost 5-6 years since I seen him. And then he said, hey, when are you retiring? And literally I told him, hey, I got about 10 months before I retire. And he said, well, what are you doing next week? I said, well, I'm just transitioning out, going through my medical stuff and all that. Say, hey, come up to Omaha. I would like to talk to you and talk to you about a job. You know, and I thought he was kidding around. I'm like, yeah, send me a ticket, you know, do whatever you got to do, and I'll be there. Not thinking of anything. And that's when now my boss, Kate McCauley, who is now the president and CEO, she reached out to me and provided me with that information, went up there and got hired. So before I transitioned out of the Marine Corps, I had a job. Now, the only thing that I did request from him was like, sir, I need 6 months to transition back. Just kind of, you know, lay back, relax. I lasted 2 weeks, man. And within 2 weeks, I called him up and said, sir, you got to put me to work. I can't not just sit here, watch TV and not do anything. So that's how that happened.
Man, what a, you know, it's, man, God works in mysterious ways, man.
Most definitely, brother. Most definitely.
Quick question. What were your tour lengths, or were they like 12-month tours, 15-month tours?
I did a 13-month tour, man. On my second tour to Iraq, I was supposed to have been there for 6 months. Now, the reason I ended up getting picked was because most of my peers had other stuff going on, medical issues and so forth. Now, I told them that I was only going to go there. I told them, I said, look, if you send me there, I can only go there for 6 months. I'm going through a divorce. And of course, you know, the military always tells you, yeah, no worries. And at the time I was in promotion. So when I get out there, I get selected for Master Guns, which, you know, it's a blessing. And at that time, that's when I found out there is no replacement for me. So my boss at the time says, look, we can't send you back, man. We're leaving Iraq. It takes 90 days to do a combat replacement. There's just not enough time to do that. So I got extended. Instead of doing 6 months, I ended up doing 13 months, man. So, you know,
oh my God,
everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, you know, it happened to me, but it was a blessing in disguise because that's when I met Colonel John Folsom. If that would have never happened, I would have never had the opportunity, man, to serve our veterans.
Man, we wouldn't even be here having this conversation.
Most definitely, man. I will be doing something else, you know. So, you know, God puts certain people in your life for a purpose.
Not for sure, for sure. And so tell us, well, that's a good background on your service time and your tours and your transition. But who is Martin as a person? Like, just give me a brief summary.
Oh, definitely, man. So I'm an immigrant. I came to the United States when I was 12 years old. My mom and dad passed away, so my aunt and uncle, who were my mother's sibling, ended up adopting me, man. So, you know, for about 34 years, I don't know if you recall, back in 1979, there was no bilingual teachers, none of that. They didn't have that infrastructure in place yet. So when I got to Michigan, it took me about 3 years, man, to sit in a classroom and just observe what they were saying. I was lost, you know, not understanding what was going on. So it took me 3 years, you know, moving forward, joined the Marine Corps in 1986. Did 30 years in the Marine Corps. During those 30 years, I was able to get my bachelor's degree in business administration. I served the Masonic community also. I'm a master mason, past master out of my lodge. I'm also a Shriner. I'm in the consistory, and I'm also Order of the Eastern Star. And I also volunteered through the Air Force, man, training military working dogs. You know, I haven't done it the last 18 months because of my job, that I travel so much and the things that I do for the job. But prior to that, from 2016 to about 18 months ago, I was picking up a puppy every 6 months, man, at 6 weeks old, and then return him when he was 7. So during that 5-month transition, I would teach the dog obedience, do bite work, and do and just familiarize them with different environments. And, that's one of the things that I'm blessed that while I was in Afghanistan, every time I went outside the wire, I had a military working dog. And that's why you see me with my limbs. Unfortunately, to train a military working dog, it takes about 18 months to get a dog fully trained for them to pass all the certifications that they require. So we don't have enough personnel that do that on a voluntary basis. So that's one of the things that I do to give back to the military as well.
Man, Martin, you're like a jack of all trades. You know a
Well,
little bit of everything. You do a lot
well,
of things.
as a Marine, man, that's one of the things that, we're instilling, man. Hey, wherever you plant it, you gotta bloom. Wherever plant it, that's where you gotta bloom. So there is no other option.
100%. Totally agree
Yes,
with
sir.
that. Do what you got to do where you're planted at. Absolutely. Great philosophy. So, man, so tell me about the Wounded Warriors Family Support. Do you know when this organization got started
The
and the
organization-
inception?
Oh, most definitely, Victor. The organization was actually started in 2003 by Colonel Folsom. He was a medevac pilot that was flying our casualties in the early 2000s during the Iraq War. And one of the things that he noticed, man, that whenever somebody got medevac from Iraq into Lunsdale, I mean, they arrived there basically on their underwear, whatever, because everything got torn up. So when they got there, they had nothing. They had no socks, you know. So that's how he started passing the hat around and collecting money so they could buy him the basic necessities: toothbrush, socks, underwear, shirts, and all that. So that's how the organization got started. And Colonel Folsom was a reservist, so the only time that he deployed was when he got activated to deploy. So he started the organization in 2003. Moving forward, 22 years later, we have now become a national organization. I wish our revenue was a little bit better, but we do have 4 legacy programs that we operate. We operate the Mobility Freedom, which provides our combat veterans with a $30,000 vehicle grant for the purchase of a new or used vehicle. In addition, whatever the VA does not pay for the modifications, as I don't know if you're aware, every 4 years, our veterans get a stipend for adaptive drive equipment. If that amount is not covered by the VA or what they need, our organization pays the difference. Or even if their vehicle dies and we have to provide them a new vehicle, we'll take care of that. Also, throughout the year, we like to, and this is all dependent on donations and the revenue that we receive. Last year, we did 25 vehicles that we purchased completely 25 vehicles. And we also paid for the modifications. Just to give you a cost analysis for an F-150, right? Back then, last year, we were looking at about $65,000. Some of the modifications can run up as high as $30,000, depending on your needs. If you're a double, triple amputee, you're going to require all the bells and whistles, the adaptive drive equipment, the Bruno arm for the wheelchair, and so forth. That can run up to $30,000. So you're looking at a veteran of getting a vehicle from us, $100,000 vehicle grant for that purpose. This year, we're doing 3. We also have the Veterans Welding Program in collaboration with the UAW Ford Motor Company. 3 times a year, we're able to send 10 veterans to Detroit, Michigan to be trained as welders. As you know, the American Welding Society published in 2023 that by 2024, there was going to be over 400,000 welding vacancies just in the United States, because we do not have enough folks in the trade doing welding or doing other stuff in that trade field. So, so to be able to send 10 veterans 3 times a year, you're looking at about, for us, just the cost for Wounded Warriors Family Support, we're looking at about 80 grand just in airfare, hotels, food. We also provide them with safety tow boots, and the UAW picks up the other costs, which runs them about $95,000, which includes the cost of the training site. It includes the salary of the 3 4 instructors that they have there. They also provide them breakfast and lunch Monday through Friday, and they also provide them with all the welding equipment that they're going to utilize during those 6 weeks. And in addition, they also pay for the certifications, which do not come from the UAW or for it. They come from the American Welding Society, which the American Welding Society is the national organization that sets the standards for welders throughout North America. So that certification is good anywhere in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. The other 2 programs that we have is a respite program, and this is for our care providers. A lot of folks, especially since Iraq since 2000. Um, if you look at our care providers, they're aging, and they're the ones that do the care providers 7 days a week, taking care of that veteran,
That's
lifting
a
them
tough
up.
job right there.
Oh, definitely. So what happens, after they've been doing this, as they get older, they start having medical issues, they start having hip issues and so forth. So what happens when they got to step away to take care of those medical issues, or just to decompress, or a family emergency? Who's going to take care of that veteran? That's where our organization can step in temporarily, hire somebody in the local economy, Mary Mays, whatever the case, whatever the need is, we'll hire somebody to do that specific need for the veteran. And the other program that we have is our resource program, and this is only for our Purple Heart recipients that have school-age children. We have a couple resorts in Orlando, Florida. They can stay there for free. We provide them tickets to the local parks, and if they don't have the means, we'll provide them with a stipend to travel. In our last program, actually, we got two other initiatives that we started 3 years ago. Well, this happened since I started with the organization. Our welders, a lot of them have real bad PTSD, or their unemployability. And one of their things was, hey, I want to start my own business. How can I start my own business? I don't know nothing about how to write a business plan, how to do an LLC, how to navigate the financial banks, how to get a loan, and so forth. So our president, Kay McCauley, reached out to an organization out of Kansas City, Missouri, called Pathway Financial. They're for business profit, and they agreed to do once a year an entrepreneurship class for our veterans, which is an online course, 8-week course, where they teach you all that information. It's an 8-week course, teach you how to do a business plan, teach you how to write, LLC, how to do business taxes, cash flow, and so forth. And in addition to that, at the end of the course, they also provide you with mentors. Down the road, if you have a question, hey, I need help with this, that mentor that's in that specific business will walk you through the process of how to do it, or answer any questions that you have as well. And the last initiative, and this is something that Colonel Folsom, when he first started the organization, was on the back of his mind. What happens, as you know, a lot of our veterans are amputees. I'll give you an example. We have one young man by the name of Jason Ross that we supported when he was injured in Afghanistan. When he came back, he was below the waist amputee. His wife left him in the hospital. He said, "Look, I didn't sign up for this," and not only that, but left the kids. So his parents are taking care of him now. His kids are grown up, but his parents can no longer take care of him. What's going to happen to him? He's going to be farmed out to a facility that's going to take care of him for the rest of his life. So Colonel Folsom, about 5 years ago, started working on a project called the Dunham House, which is a assisted living home for combat veterans for that purpose. So they have somewhere that they can be among other veterans, and that they can be taken care of, not just by anybody, but by somebody who's actually is going to provide for them and take care of their needs.
That's amazing. Man, it just seems like this organization not only provides support for especially those who are wounded in war with amputees and things like that, but you guys also equip them by teaching them a skill. And these
Yes.
are vital, like I call it the vital blue collar skills that kind of built America to what it is today.
Oh,
And
most
it's
definitely.
really amazing. What really piqued my interest is the assisted living. Like, are you guys helping nationwide, or are you like in your
We're
in
a
your
na-
area?
No, we're nationwide, Victor. I mean, the reason our
Wow.
cost sometimes exceeds, I exceed my budget sometimes. I fly people from Hawaii, from Puerto Rico, from Alaska, Samoan Islands, and I have sent those individuals to Detroit, Michigan to be trained as welders. And to say the truth, Victor, we did one of the things that my boss tasked me last year was, what is our success rate on our welders? So last year I did 3 years of previous classes that went through, and we find out that out of those 3 years, 55% of the people that went through our welding course went into the welding industry. One of the biggest challenges that veterans have when they leave the military is, you might be a diesel mechanic, but guess what? When you leave the military, you don't have a certificate that says you have this many hours as a diesel mechanic. These are your expertise. So guess what? You got to start from scratch. So how are you going to make a living? Competing against other people that have those credentials, but yet you your credentials might exceed due to the number of things that you have done in the military, but you do not have that piece of paper. So that's one of the things that I'm very proud about this organization, that we're able to provide them with a trade. We don't consider a hand out, but we consider a hand up because they have the skills to
I
be
like that
financially
term.
independent.
Yeah, I like that term. You're teaching them the skills to, pick up pretty much. You give them a head start, but they can.
Yes.
It's like teaching a kid to ride a bike with training wheels. Take training wheels off, and you
Oh,
guys
most
got it.
definitely. Most
Yeah.
definitely. And one thing that we do not believe, and this was implanted by Colonel Folsom, we do not believe in exploitation. So you will not see any commercials because we don't advertise. We're word of mouth organization. You will not see any commercials say, look, this poor veteran, we did this for him. We do not believe in exploiting anybody. We believe in respect and dignity for that veteran.
Yeah, the right to privacy. I think it
Yes,
it
sir.
keeps it genuine and it keeps
Most
it
definitely.
it keeps it authentic at the
And,
end of
and
the
you'd
day.
be and you'd be surprised how many veterans with the mobility freedom that I have ran into that were paraded on parades, on commercials, doing fundraisers, for 2, 3 years, and then to find out that organization went out of business and they never got anything out of it. So a lot of times, that's one of the challenges that I face with the mobility freedom, especially with our double and triple amputees. They've been paraded so much that they're very cautious on who they speak with. You know, and the other challenge that our combat veterans run, especially for the mobility freedom, a lot of companies do not want to work on their vehicles. And the reason is because it takes the VA so long to pay them. I have run into individuals that has
Yes.
taken 2 years for that company to get paid. And after that, the company say, look, we'll work on your vehicle, but you got to pay up front. When we get the money, we'll reimburse you. And believe me, I understand their frustration. When you're dropping 80, 30, $40,000 on a modification, you can't wait 2 years to get repaid for that.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
now we do have a company that out of Chantilly, Virginia, called Driver Rehabilitation Center of Excellence out of Chantilly, Virginia, that works with us and works with the VA, and they take that burden of waiting for the VA to reimburse them, and then we'll pay whatever additional. Now, the only reason that company is in existence is Lady Tammy Pibbs. She was the person that started the driver rehabilitation for the Navy when Iraq first kicked off. So when that program was terminated by DOD and the VA, she took all the files and started her own company just for that purpose, to assist our veterans.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It's the nature of the beast, right?
Oh,
In
most
regards
definitely.
to government money moves slow, especially if it's
Definitely.
federal, state, local,
Yeah.
city, county. They just move slow. That's just how it is because it's
Yeah.
taxpayer dollars, right? We get it. But man, that is remarkable. What actually piqued my interest, because as you know, I think I mentioned to you, we're in South Florida, so I'm in West Palm Beach to be
Uh-huh.
specific. And what piqued my interest was I wanted to know, we could talk offline about this, but like, is there a need for assisted living for veterans of that nature in this region? Like, are you guys getting this much traffic from this part of the states where we can figure out something with the city and the county and get something set up?
Victor, the need is there. It's definitely there. The issue is the funding. Trying to build this. Hopefully, we're looking that this is not going to be just the only assisted living that we're going to do. As time progresses, donations, and as the country sees how we're taking care of our combat veterans, hopefully we're able to generate more funding for that. But most definitely, if you look at the VA right now, the structure, whenever you have a veteran that needs this type of medical treatment, they farm them out to the lowest bidder. And that's exactly what it is. They provide exactly what you're paying for. And to me, that's not a way to treat our veterans.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We definitely gotta there's definitely gotta be another avenue of approach in regards to accessing funds to keep on going, because there's insurance companies, there's local
Oh
money,
yeah.
grants, things of that nature, but I know that's a process. But absolutely, man. But man, those are some major highlights of what the Wounded Warriors Family Support Organization does. You guys are a nonprofit, so I want to put that out there, guys. This is a nonprofit organization, and what Martin and the organization is doing, it's supporting veterans and families nationwide. And I got to tell you, man. One, thank you for your service because Martin, you are the definition of the American dream. Immigrant, serve the nation. Now you're serving the nation in another capacity. Like it's a definition of why we do what we do here, and it's
Well,
pretty inspiring, man.
I'm a firm believer, Victor, that service before self.
Absolutely.
That's what makes this country the best.
It is the best country in the world, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. Hey, so Martin, where can people find you guys? You guys have like a YouTube channel or website? Where can we find you?
You can definitely find us on our website. We also are doing a lot of podcasts. So you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on TikTok. I'm like I said, I'm going to be doing a TikTok tomorrow. Tomorrow, I set up a booth to support our transitioning veterans, combat veterans that transition out of the Marine Corps here at Wounded Warrior Battalion West. So I'll be sending out a little 15, 20-second TikTok message, just supporting them out there. So, that's how we do our advertisement, social media, Facebook. We're very big on Facebook. One of the things that both the founder and now our president, we don't believe in advertising. We rather spend our money on our programs. We're a 4-star charity, meaning that in order to be a 4-star charity, 80% of your revenue has to go into your programs department. For the last 13 years, Victor, a minimum of, out of every dollar that comes in, a minimum of 86 cents goes into our programs department. And we have been higher as 2 years in a row, we were at 93%, So that's one of the things that I'm very proud about this organization. And that's one of the things that Colonel Folsom instilled in everybody in the organization that, hey, we're going to do more with less. And we're going to overcome whatever the world throws at us, and we've been so far during COVID, we saw a lot of organizations, nonprofits go down, and we were very fortunate that we were able to survive the pandemic. But yeah, most definitely, Victor, I definitely feel that this organization is doing great things for our veteran community. And the biggest challenge for us is revenue and of course, promoting the organization, because that's one of the things that veterans constantly do not have access to is resources, navigating the VA, navigating some of your entitlements, navigating some of the nonprofits that are out there, and that's why we have a lot of homeless veterans because, as a veteran, how long does it take to get a claim approved? And how many times is it going to get denied before you get approved? So those are the delays that could put somebody in a financial stressful situation. And that's some of the things that the organization tries to support our combat community, combat veterans and veterans community.
Right on, guys. So this is their ask. You hear the ask. So in the show notes, we're going to have their website, their information. And if you are moved to be a part of the movement and be there partnering with them to support their mission, I'm going to put the show notes there, the contact information. You guys can connect with Martin directly and to have that kind of conversation. But Martin, I guess definitely humbled and very grateful to have you on the show. The Wounded Warriors Family Support Organization is an organization, I would say, like when there's words, your actions match the word. And not many people can say that. People say a lot of things, but their actions never match. And it just sounds like what you guys do here is exactly that. Action first, and let your actions speak louder than the words. And so I really appreciate you coming on, man. God bless you, man. And thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Victor. And look forward to meeting you in person, man.
Likewise, sir. Have a great day. Thank you.
Yeah, you do the same. Take care. Yeah, bye-bye.
Man, what a great interview was speaking with Mr. Martin Duarte, retired Master Gunny of the Marine Corps, speaking on behalf of the Wounded Warriors Family Support Organization, a nonprofit. Man, listen, if you were inspired by today's episode with Martin and his organization that he works for, please check out the show links. You're going to find this information there. If you're in this area and you want to support, or if you're across anywhere in the world you want to support, go ahead and go to the show note links and you're going to find it there. Lastly, you can find our podcast on YouTube channel, the V.D.R podcast. You can also find us on Podbean. VDRpodcast.podbean.com is our website. Also, we would appreciate if you'd like, subscribe, share. Thank you. And we really appreciate the interaction. And we always thank everyone for interacting with us, helping us grow our show. And lastly, our faith statement, our kingdom partners for this ministry. We are praying for kingdom partners, whether you're a person or people or an organization, to help partner with us in pushing back against the darkness one step at a time in this world against the kingdom of darkness by bringing the good news of Jesus Christ through this platform. Which we do here is look at everything through a biblical standpoint, perspective, all things happening in today's world, whether it's economic, social issues, political, whatever it is, we're going to talk about it here, but through the lens of how the Bible teaches us to do these things, because that's the only eternal truth, because the Bible says that this world may pass away, but the word of God, Jesus' words, will remain forever. So this is what we do here. So thank you again. We appreciate you guys. God bless you.